Welcome to It's Good to Talk, the podcast that equips parents with conversations they need to have. My name is Emma McLean. I'm an executive coach. I work exclusively with working parents. Working and having a family is darn hard. And a way to get through this time in your life is to have better conversations. It's to talk about it. I believe that hope is not a strategy. Asking for what you need is. And that's why it's good to talk. Let's get into it. Welcome back. It's your friend Emma. I'm so delighted to introduce Josie today. Josie
Hello.
from Based Pēpi. A fantastic Instagram account that I have followed for a long time. And I just knew I needed to have Josie on It's Good to Talk. And I'm going to ask her to introduce herself in whatever way she would like to do that. Welcome, Josie.
Thank you, Emma. Well, do you know, I actually heard about you through one of my followers on Instagram. So I am an early childhood teacher. I've been in the early childhood sector for about 15 years. And I am a space facilitator, so I've run some parent support groups for new parents. I have 3 children of my own, so I've gone back to work 3 times myself. And I have this Instagram page which started as like just sharing little play ideas and things that I was doing with my kids at home, and then has grown into quite a community of mums and dads, just sharing the ups and downs of motherhood and all of that, kind of from an early childhood teacher perspective. So we have a lot of chats on there about this sort of stuff that you talk about. And someone actually, in one of the conversations we were having on my page one day, talked about you and how their work had employed you to support the mums going back to work. And she just had so many great tips that I was like, I've never heard of this woman, but she sounds amazing.
I need this woman in my life. And now here I am.
Yes, I've loved you ever since. But yeah, I this year was returning back to work after having my last baby, and so have kind of stepped back from Instagram as much because you cannot do all of the things. But this, talking to you, has been so timely. It just felt like the perfect time to have this chat with you.
Yeah. So 3 children.
Yes.
Return to work 3 times. Have this other sort of business focus thing that has grown as well. So you were trying to maintain that. It's a lot, right?
It's too much, actually.
It's a lot. It's so interesting because I'm writing a book at the moment to help working parents with conversations that are really useful for us. And when I've been writing it, what I want for people to know first up is there are no answers. Right?
Yeah.
We're
obsessed with hacks, but there's some things that there's just not a hack for.
Exactly. I just want people to know this is a setup. It appears like we can all do it seamlessly and all while eating organic food and getting to daycare on time. But it turns out not.
No.
I mean, what's been your experience?
Yeah, that you can do all of the things but never all at the same time. So like that's something I've had to remind myself at the moment of all the kind of like little projects I want to do, working with parents and things like that. Like I've got like at least 35 years left of my working life ahead of me, and I don't have to do it all at once. So yeah, that's been a good thing to remember, but it really does take a village, and that's something that I love as an early childhood teacher, sharing with the parents that trust their babies with us. Is like, it's okay that we are your village, and that is the modern day village. Yeah, and I see a lot of mums and dads who are either guilty about having to go back to work or like wishing they didn't have to and so scared about this next step, or the ones that are like desperate to go back to work and feel guilty for that because actually they're really looking forward to having a break.
I know, right? The guilt roller coaster.
Yes.
Welcome aboard.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, when I hear you talk that back, right, everyone has a different experience when they return to work and their children need to go into childcare. And it is a guilt roller coaster, whatever way you look at it. And again, talking about that stuff is really important because you're not alone.
No.
And I also love what you said, like, I've got 35 years of working ahead of me. So you're like, Josie, just calm down.
Yeah.
Just calm down a bit. And I think that's a really beautiful perspective to gift others. I always say to people, lengthen your runway, right? Like, we are all going to be working for much longer than we probably think.
Yeah.
For so many system reasons.
Yeah.
And think of this time, you know, when you have young children, as time to set up the infrastructure for your family.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, and time to have conversations and time to acknowledge that it's darn hard. When it comes to going back to work, you mentioned that this is your third time.
Yes.
And what's been your experience this time going back?
So, this was my longest stint of being a stay-at-home mum, which we all know that's not what it is. A work-at-home mum.
We call it work-at-home mums,
yes.
now, I think, yes.
So that was my longest stint. So with my first child, I went back at 6 months. When she was 6 months old, just kind of eased into it slowly with part-time, and then built up a little bit more. And then with my second, when she was 8 months, and then this time, because I guess we were just older and my husband had continued his work during all of those times, so he was able to go up in his job, we were able to afford for me to stay home this time for 2.5 years, which was amazing, and I cherished that. And I think with 3 kids, the amount of sick leave you'd need, that's what I always said, was like, there'd be no point in working just yet. But we definitely stretched that out as long as we could. But I was also itching to get back into something myself. But I did notice the 2.5 year finding a new job very different to the 6 month. You know, in that time I went back to the same job. This time with my third, I'd left my job. And so, applying for one, just being out for 2.5 years, it was like just fascinating trying to get back into the game, really. I mean, I've been very lucky. I've always had great bosses. They've all been mums. Funny that.
There's a pattern.
So, But just really interesting kind of as an observer, and having listened to a lot of your work about like, wow, this is for real. Like the motherhood penalty it's no joke. I consider myself I've kept up my professional development and things like that while being at home. But I just kept thinking, imagine if I'd stayed home 5 years, like it would just feel impossible to get back in.
Yeah, I mean, it's so true. Why does it feel impossible? Like if you say, goodness, if I'd stayed home for 5. No, I hate this word. We need all new language. Stayed home for 5. I mean, I don't even know what that means, Josie. But if you had been out of paid work for 5 years and it feels impossible, what is it about being out of the paid workforce that, because it's a real thing, that it can feel like you'll never get back in? What do you think it is?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's different for whatever your sector is that you work in. For me, it's like with teachers, we have registration. And so mine had lapsed. So it's things like renewing all of that, and then not being able to count the 2.5 years that I'd stayed home with my 3 children as part of my profession. But having, it's all of those things that are in place. And then the way we had built our life was very much that I was the primary parent. I'm very lucky. I shouldn't be lucky. It should be the norm, but I am very lucky to have an amazing husband who, we've always had great conversations about sharing the load. And so that was a big shift of when I did go back. Obviously, he has taken on more of the home stuff because when I was home, I had more time to do more. But just the way we had set our life up, I guess. But I know, different for different sectors, I suppose.
Yeah, I think it is. When you're in sectors that definitely you've got to get back all your certifications, but if you're in technical sectors, you might have to retrain. I don't know, sometimes things move really quickly. So there's that side of it. But then the other side that I hear from you is it's a big change, and I remember going back after my third baby, and I thought I was like a boss. I was like, I'm going to do this, it's going to be fine. And I remember on the day before I was going to go back, I just had this dread flood through me. And I was like, I'm the person. Like, I know that Henry... I'm the person that knows that Henry likes his sandwiches cut into squares, not triangles. But do you know what I mean? And I think this whole change, and how is this even possible?
Yeah.
And it sounds like with a true partnership, it becomes possible.
Totally. Yeah.
Do you have deliberate conversations about that? Has it organically emerged? How does your family work?
Yeah, I think we've always had those sort of conversations. I remember when our first child was born, we were living overseas. We had no family around or anything like that. And we definitely had this like, how are we going to survive conversation? And so my husband, bless him, loves a spreadsheet. And so he made an Excel spreadsheet and he timed out all the chores. So like one of my chores was feeding the baby and then one of his chores was like going to work during the day. And then all the other household tasks, everything from like taking the bins out, mopping the floors, like they were all divided up. And so that was kind of like our start point, I guess.
Yeah.
And that acknowledged that even when I was staying at home, that was still work because we had to share the tasks still. So I think that gave us a great starting point. And that's kind of just, eventually we didn't need to refer back to the chart anymore. We just carried on.
You found your roles.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
So then this time, knowing that this was going to be a huge change, you know, having lived our lives so differently for 2 years, we did have, again, like another conversation about, because now we're trying to get 3 kids out the door in the morning, like it's a lot. And both turn up to work on time and we both like going to the gym and like all of those sorts of things. So it's like, how are we going to divvy up all of these tasks to make sure that we're all where we need to be on time?
Totally. Because it is a lot. And also, you're working with a variable factor, which is unpredictable. Children.
Yeah, oh my gosh.
I think that's one of the hardest things, you know. It's like,
because you can think, like,
you know,
sweet, we're like 90% ready and we've got half an hour left. That's fine. But then, like, the last task of putting the child to put their shoes on, that's going to take sometimes that full half hour.
And we all get to where we're going in slightly worse state because it's taken half an hour for shoes to get put on and you're beating yourself up for yelling and, it's a good time. So I love that, right? Structure gives you freedom. So, you know, whatever works, if you are partnered, whatever works for you, but like work is work wherever it's happening, and there is a lot at home. So if you can, and it doesn't need to be divided equally, but I think it needs to be seen. I think it needs to be acknowledged. And I love that feeding the baby was work, because it is.
Yeah. It took a lot of time.
It takes a lot of time. You put them to sleep and then they wake up again and you're like, am I doing this again now? Like, this is...
Yeah.
I love
what you say, though, about, like, it doesn't need to be divided equally, because I think I have witnessed some couples trying to do that, and then it just becomes a real tit for tat.
Yeah.
And you're losing focus of what I think is more important, which is making sure that everyone's good. Like, everyone's happy, everyone's getting what they need, and you're still getting your family time instead of, like, idolizing time apart or that sort of thing, you know? It's,
I think that for me is these conversations. It's like, I like what you said, like, we both need to go to the gym or we both want to go to the gym. And so it's like sort of being able to say, honey, how are we going to get the gym in this week for both of us? Like, how's it going to work? And I think with all of this, just to bring curious minds, bring beginners mindsets, bring a child's mind, right? Because they're actually quite hard conversations.
We use the term protected time. So like our gym time is our protected time, or we could do like sit out and have a coffee alone, meditate, whatever, but it's our protected time. So it's like, how are we each going to get our protected time today so that we are happy to function and you're not just like the daily grind, but you've got something
I love
for
that.
you.
Where's our protected time? And, you know, with 3 children, how do you guys define the role of the other parent when you have protected time? A lot of my clients, they might have protected time, but sometimes small children are like heat-seeking missiles and they can find you.
Yes.
Does that happen? I mean, have you talked about, like, when you're in charge, this is what it looks like, what does good look like, those kind of conversations?
So that's such a good conversation, because when my husband has the children, they're really nice. And they play independently. They want nothing from him. They're just like, I will come home and the house is spotless because he's just like had time to tidy everything, and he's like finished a million things, and he comes home and I'm just like, my children didn't let go of me. They touched me nonstop. So yeah, we do have that understanding, but it is like so I get up first in the morning, I work out in the lounge, and if the kids wake up during that time, they're his. They're not to come into my space, like
Brilliant,
he'll get
right.
them up breakfast.
Yep.
For his gym time, he gets in the car and drives to the gym, so
yeah,
they can't follow him there. But yeah, it is good to have.
He's clever. I like that.
But also, yeah, it is like not just like you're watching the children, but like things still need to be happening at that time in the morning. You still need to be making lunch boxes or. Yeah, so yeah, those are good chats to have, Emma.
They are. They're hard, but they are good ones to have. And I think it comes back down to, if you are listening to this and you're like, okay, and I think this is my thing, is I don't want these podcasts to add to your mental load, right? Mm-hmm. But if you can take one thing away and think, okay, well, what would protected time look like for us? And then I just think, I really want people to have quite a detailed / boring conversation about that. Like, yes. For me, if I want half an hour in the garden where I'm having a coffee and meditating, if children must not be with me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not like, oh, I didn't know they were there, or I couldn't find them, or they wanted you. Like, we need to have these conversations, because otherwise it doesn't work, and then it just erodes. Do you know what I mean?
And you actually end up getting more stressed because this is not the way it was meant to be.
Ironically, when you're doing yoga, it's just, again, not ideal.
No.
Yeah, so these are hard conversations, but they're good ones. What about in you creating and building this community, this online village, basically, of Based Pēpi? What have you learnt from your community about conversations, or how they get through, or what's important to them? Like, have there been any themes?
It's opened my eyes. Like, there's such a mix. I think I live in quite an insular world. Maybe it's a small town thing, or just the friend group that I have carefully curated throughout my life. But we're all in quite equal partnerships that are actually partnerships, and I see a lot of teamwork and things working really, really well. And so then I have these conversations online, and I realize that actually not everyone is like that, and there are people in really unequal partnerships of things that just, I feel for them, because how do you start having these conversations if you've never had them? And so then you're trapped in a cycle. But also maybe they live in a world where that is normal, so they've never challenged that. And yeah, so it's just, I think, been really eye-opening to see how everyone's come from a different place, and your own upbringing, your own worldviews, all of those things make such a difference to how you're going to go into your own partnership. And and
I like, where is the manual? Like, I'm really lucky. I'm going to be talking to Sophie from Imperfect Parents as well, and I love her antenatal groups that she's running. And for me is so much opportunity to support parents with, even more than parenting stuff, but like just general living in the system stuff. Yeah. Because I just don't know where the it's not like when we decide to have children, if we are partnered, we don't sit down with our partner and say, hey honey, let's set my career back 10 years, put a fire under our relationship, and always worry about what are we going to do with the broccoli going off in the fridge, I mean, I don't know. You might have had that conversation.
I've got 3 broccoli going off in my fridge right now. Another one special.
You know?
Yeah. So much there.
Well, this is the thing is like, there's that quote, sunlight is the best disinfectant, which I didn't say properly. And it's just like, we need to talk about this stuff. And currently, a lot of this talk around, if we do have an unequal, again, we're not an inequitable relationship, I guess, because it doesn't have to be equal, but it has to be equitable, in my view. Often we don't talk about it because there's possibly a little bit of shame about it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
that's another thing I haven't done right. Like, yeah.
There's possibly one parent will take responsibility for it, and they'll go, well, like I work with mums and dads, but a lot of mums would be, well, it's my fault. It's my fault because they'll call themselves a control freak. You know? And so it's a really good thing to come to coaching with, because we kind of can explore, well, what do you want actually? Because it might not be that you're a control freak, but you just like a kitchen with no crumbs on the bench. Call me old-fashioned.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're allowed to hit standards. But what do you think? Like, what makes these conversations hard to talk about?
Yeah, I see in some of the like parent groups I've worked with as well, there is that, like, what do they call it? The like motherhood gatekeeping, maternal gatekeeping or something. And so I think there is a balance of like, you're allowed to have standards of what clean looks like, but also talking to parents when they're new parents and saying like, hey, if you never let him or them work out how to put the baby to sleep or how to dress the baby or how to bath the baby, then they're never going to be able to do it, and you're always going to be stuck doing it. And that's not a you problem. That's just, you didn't know how to do that straight away. I didn't know what I was doing when I was a mum, but I had all that alone time with the baby to figure it all out. So like, give them some alone time to figure it out.
Yeah.
And it's always, we have these conversations one week and they're all like, yeah, okay, whatever. And then a couple of weeks later, they'll be like, oh my gosh, I've been letting them pack the baby bag. And the first week forgot everything. But from then on, the bag's been packed and I haven't had to write a list or anything because we had the conversation and now it's happening. So it's like, sometimes those conversations are so awkward and like, it's painful and nobody likes it. But if you can get through that, then it is so much easier afterwards to have that trust on.
And that's such a good story, right? Like, it was awkward, it was horrible, but 2 weeks later he's doing it. Yeah. And he's worked it out. And like, amazing. Yeah. And I say this for dads, if dads are trying to find their role at home or trying to be more active at home. I actually did another interview the other day with Aidan Kirk-Smith, who's running a group called Dad Adventure, and It's around a community for dads. And he was saying, you know, dads just want to be useful at home.
Yes.
But they don't know what useful is. And how do we create this atmosphere where we can share what useful is and give them the opportunity to do it, but in a partnership, equitable way, right? Not in a mother-teenager way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Even using the language, it makes it sound like it's like an us and them thing. But
yes, it does.
Like, I hate having these conversations with my mum groups because it's like, you feel like you're telling them to talk to their partner like a child. But yeah, you've got to acknowledge to them that I didn't know what I was doing when I first started and I figured it out, and you will figure out your own way, and the early childhood teachers are going to figure out their own way, and you know, everyone's going to figure it out. Yeah. And I think as well, like, I'm definitely not speaking for everyone, but I really bought into like the motherhood sacrifice of like, well, I wanted these babies, and so I'll put my life on hold for a little bit, and that's just being a mum, you know, cold tea in the morning, that's just being a mum. And so I really bought into that, and it was just over a year ago, I was saying to my husband, like, I'm done with this. I feel like there's nothing for me in my life because I was being the at-home parent. And he was like, yeah, I agree. This is not sustainable. He was like, why don't you just like find a gym that's going to work for you and sign up and join the gym? And I was like, yeah, just sign up and join a gym. Like, it's going to be that easy. It literally was that easy. Like I found a gym that worked for me and I started going and immediately felt better. And I was like, why did I make this seem like such a hard thing? Like I put all these obstacles in my own way because I was like, but I'm a mum, it's not going to work. Like I can't, I shouldn't be doing that. Like once I got over the guilt and realized I needed to do it, I did it. And it was like, why have I not done this years ago? Why have we not had this conversation sooner? Like
gold. This is a gold story, right? But started from you sharing how it felt to be you with your partner.
Yeah. And him listening.
Yeah. I mean, that's so powerful. And, sometimes it's the little tiny things that do shift up a notch. And I think so many people will identify with that story.
I shared that on my Instagram and I had a mum message me because then I was kind of like in this like boastful, I'm a gym mum now, like loving my best life. And someone messaged and it was my favorite message because she was so honest. And she said, I've seen this and I'm annoyed at you because I just think, well, that's great that you've made something work for you, but I wouldn't be able to have something that works for me and I'm stuck in this. And then she sat with that and she realized maybe that was not the right response. And so she found a class that works for her and she gets to go now once a week to her class. And she was like, you're right. Why did I not do this sooner? Like we just put this thing in our way of, but I'm the mum, so I have to give up everything I want. And yeah. So, and I'm such a better person. I'm such a nicer person to be around when I have my thing for me.
Oh, that's a great story. Well, that's what changing lives on the gram. That's what I like. But what I love about that story is the thing I've heard you say a couple of times. I had this picture in my mind of what a mother is or what a mother did,
because my mum never did anything for herself.
And now your children are growing up with you.
I have 3 girls. So I'm so aware of that, of what I'm role modeling to them and, what they see a mother is just, I think it's cool. The mums they have in their life are cool.
Yeah. And it's so, that's just incredible. That is about changing generations. So I love that. And I think for me, that story is if you are feeling overwhelmed in your life somewhere, if you're feeling like you're being trapped, have a little reflect about the stories you're telling yourself. Do you know what I mean? That, like, I work with lots of mums who say to me, I have no time for exercise. I literally have no time because really, if I'm working, I want to spend every time I have with my baby.
Yeah.
And I get that. I know that is hard and it's not sustainable long term. And if they are partnered, our partners want us to go and do something for ourselves. They
for
really
sure.
do.
Doesn't have to be exercise.
No. Yeah, exactly. I love that story. Well, I've just got one more question, really, Josie. We've talked about a lot of great conversations today. And if you could tell working parents to just have one conversation, so people that are trying to juggle jobs and families and sickness and careers and dinners with the boss, one conversation, what would it be? What do you reckon is a real... I know, it's some
so hard to just pick one.
Yeah.
How are we going to do it? I don't know. I think the things that have helped my husband and I the most are the ones where we put ourselves in each other's shoes, because then we're really seeing what it's like and getting an idea of the bigger picture. So having all of the conversations we've talked about, but really listening to what it's like for them. My husband said to me the other night, because we take turns organizing date nights, and he knows I love chats, of all of these chats. He hates it, but he knows I love it. So it's his turn organizing one. So he asked me the question, if we swapped roles for a day or a week, what would be your favorite thing about your new role and what would be your least favorite thing? And that was just fascinating to acknowledge that the other person has something that's really hard, because I think we quite like to complain about our hard thing, but acknowledging that, yeah, there is something that in your life that I would really struggle with. And then obviously listening to the thing that they liked about our life and realizing that was an envy thing for them because they wished they could have, had that. So, yeah, having those conversations where you're, whatever conversation you're having, you're thinking about what it's like for them, because I've heard you say before about the indicator of a person's career is who they're married to.
Oh, the biggest career decision you will ever make is not whether you have children. It's who and whether you decide to partner. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that about just like parenting in general, it's who you're with. And so, yeah, if you can create a culture of your relationship where you can have those conversations and listen and talk about your protected time and all of that. Sorry, I did not answer that properly because there's so many questions.
She's like, that's impossible. You answered that so well. Like that date night question, thousands of dates around New Zealand.
I was like,
I know, he's like, we need to interview him. He's like, this is amazing.
What I do think is cool, because he is a boss of he has employees under him, and some of his friends are in similar roles. And I think it's great that these young dads are getting these roles. Obviously, we want mums getting these roles too. But
no.
Like having dads, not like maybe my generation of fatherhood, but having this generation of fatherhood to be in charge and be like, yeah, cool, you can have the afternoon off to go to assembly watch your child get a certificate. Like, you can go cross country, you can have some time off on the holidays. Like, I think that's great that these things are hopefully happening.
I think that's how change happens. When you have people in an organisation that are looking up to their managers, whatever gender they are, and they're able to pop out for assemblies and cross countries and swimming sports and sick leave when their kids are sick. That is powerful, because for my dads, they want to be active caregivers at home. Yeah. But they have a big clunk at work where they go in and ask for something and they're really courageous, and they're met with, what? Don't you have a wife for that? And I know that's not all employers and it's not all dads, but I'm telling you, it's still an attitude out there. Yeah. So I really support that role modelling. That's amazing. Yeah. You're painting a picture of the perfect guy, Josie. So I love that for you.
Oh, don't worry. He still has many flaws.
No, I love that idea. What was that question you both asked on the date night again? Can you repeat it?
If we were to change roles for a day or a week, what would be your favourite thing about your new role and your least favourite thing? Actually, I think when he asked me that was when I was not yet in work. And interestingly, we both said our favourite thing would be freedom. Because I said my favourite thing would be the freedom to just like get up, go to work, at work, have a coffee, go out and do something on my lunch break. And he said his favourite thing would be the freedom to just like, I'm going to take the kids to the beach this afternoon. I'm going to, so like seeing those things that we miss from our own lives, that was like very eye-opening. Yeah.
It's fascinating, isn't it? And but again, I love it's such a great way to build empathy for the other person and to understand, standing in their shoes, because I think when we're under great stress, it's very easy to get into an Olympics of suffering. Oh, yeah. You know, and curious, beautiful questions like this on date nights. I mean, it's the way forward. So I'm loving that.
I'm going to tell him that, because he hates every minute of those cringe conversations, but he has them for my benefit. So,
well, you say the whole of New Zealand's having them now, so thank you. I'm big upping the listenership of this podcast, but we won't talk about that. Thank you so much for giving up your time, Josie. It's been so valuable. So many people will have got some practical things they can take away today. The stuff is really hard. We have to lean into those hard conversations. Yeah. Every family is different. Yes. But, I think that the key thing I'm taking away from this conversation is to take some time to check the stories you're telling yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And maybe if you are partnered, to share that with your partner. And just see what happens, because this is hard for mums and it's hard for dads. It's not a competition, you know?
No. It's so easy to get into that, the suffering Olympics. But
Yeah.
thank you for all the work you do. I can't believe I went as long as I did in my life without knowing that you existed and all of this amazing work. I wish that every workplace could bring you in.
I love my job because this stuff is hard, and I love helping people to feel that they're not alone, you know, because we're in a big setup. Yeah, well, thank you. That's very, very, very kind. But yeah, look, this stuff is hard. My kids are all teenagers. They're 20, 18 and 16. That's why I look so happy.
Great to see that there's joy ahead.
Yes, you can get through this.
I mean, there's joy here now, don't worry.
There's always joy. There's always joy. There's just more sleep now. There's always more sleep. So that's anything is possible with more sleep. So thank you so much, Josie. It's been a delight.
Thank you, Emma.
Thank you for listening to this episode of It's Good to Talk. This podcast was brought to you by Works for Everyone. It's the business that I own, your host, Emma McLean. We are a company that partners with progressive businesses to help support their mums and dads in the workplace and at home through innovative leadership programs, executive coaching, and keynote speaking. I hope you did like this episode. If you did, please follow on your favorite podcast platforms, share with a friend, and if you want to know any more information, check out Works for Everyone on Instagram or on the interweb. Until next time, remember, it's good to talk.